I have a mind-blowing thought for you. In a world full of leaders, I would venture to say that 85% of them are doing it wrong. So the question is, are you a part of the problem or are you a part of the future? Are you a part of that 15%? Today's doTERRA scent of the day is lemon. Let's get into it. Have you ever had a non-physical moment with somebody where you just thought, oh my goodness, there's no way in the world I could be more loved than I am right now? Well, that, my friends, is what we consider intimacy. In a world that celebrates the brightest lights and the loudest voices and the strongest personalities, I'd like to take a different look at leadership. A look that is rooted not in power, but in presence, not in authority, but in closeness. A look that arises from the framework of intimacy. Now, when you hear the word intimacy, most people think of those personal relationships, those moments that you hold near and dear to your heart with the people that are closest to you. But why? Why can we not look at intimacy in a more broader sense? A place where we could connect not just personally, but also professionally. But I guess we all really just need to back everything up and start with what is the definition of intimacy so that we're on the same page. So according to Webster's dictionary, the definition of intimacy is the act of being intimate. And let's be honest, that definition literally helps nobody. So we're going to break it down to its root word, intimate. The word intimate has 58 different definitions apparently, but I want to focus on 1A, marked by a warm friendship, developing through long association. Most people, when they hear intimacy or the act of being intimate, they think of definition 1C, engaged in, involving, or marked by sex or sexual relations. But why would people think of 1C instead of 1A? Why would you think of third place instead of first? Well, I think Trevor Noah talks about this a little bit in his show. Give this a listen.
People don't realize how often men are experiencing a lack of intimacy. And the only place that they can experience that intimacy is through sex. We've created a society where men are so afraid to be vulnerable with each other, to be, sensitive with each other, to care for each other, to love each other. Even saying that as a guy, you always have to change and be like, you can't just say, I love you. You have to be like, I love you, dog. You know what I mean? You got to throw it, like you can't just say it. And it's interesting because that is where I do feel women have done a much better job of being there intimately for each other. Not sexually, but intimately. And I think we take for granted how much in society men who say sex is the thing they're not getting are actually struggling with a lack of companionship, of intimacy, of being in a space with a person where they're sharing, everything from serotonin to endorphins to what humans need to feel, And I hope we can change that conversation just a little bit more. I hope we get to the place where guys go, oh, I actually didn't need the sex. I needed to be held. And I live in a society where it's hard to be held unless I'm having sex. Because as guys, you can't just go to a guy and be like, just hold me. True. And I hope the conversation goes there, not just from, well, a right to sex. It's like, no, sometimes you just want to be held. There are many sex workers who've talked about this, where they'll talk about how many men will pay them and then say, hey, can we just talk? Can we just sit on the bed and talk? And can you just hold me? Can you just... And I think if we have a little more of those conversations, a few more honest conversations, a few more vulnerable conversations, we may get to a place where it's not just about sex or no sex. It's people actually saying, oh yeah, we are full human beings who require a full spectrum of affection and affections towards us.
Is there anything I can do to help you?
I could use a hug.
I'll give you a hug. Seems like you got a lot going on, man. It's all right. It's all right, man.
I could use a hug. See, I don't believe that leading with intimacy is about sharing everything about yourself and your family all the time with everybody that's around. No, that's not what I believe. See, please do not walk into work next week saying, hey guys, guess what I did this weekend? I actually ate macaroni and cheese off the bottom of my wife's foot and I loved it. First of all, nobody cares. Second of all, that's disgusting. Although it will require a sense of vulnerability, not that vulnerable, but it's about creating lines of communication, fostering relationships of trust and understanding. It's about seeing people who we lead not as subordinates or followers, but as whole complex individuals who have their own dreams, their own goals, their own gifts, their own challenges. See, I also believe it to be about availability. Simon Sinek actually speaks about the 8-minute rule. As a teacher, you lead classrooms. As a principal, you lead schools. As a manager, you lead teams. And as a CEO, you lead companies. No matter what the arena is, you will always be leading through transitions, difficult decisions, and with difficult decisions becomes difficult messaging. And sometimes the people in our charge, all they need is 8 minutes. There's a study that talks about the 8-minute rule as well. It states, people only need 8 minutes to feel like they're not going through something alone. 8 minutes. Now, most work days are thought to be 8 hours. You think for corporate, it's mostly 9 to 5. For schools, it's 8 to 4 or sometimes 7 to 3. Anybody can give up 8 minutes to support somebody else. In that 8-hour increment, there are 60 8-minute segments. Anybody can give up 8 minutes, even a leader. So what does this look like? What does leading through intimacy actually look like? I'll have an acronym that I like to use to remember it. It's called VIP. Now, every leader has VIP status in one way, shape, or form. Every CEO definitely has VIP status. But not every leader and not every CEO leads like a VIP. It begins with vulnerability. Now, vulnerability can seem like a scary word in the context of leadership. After all, we are taught to lead with strength and with confidence. But vulnerability does not mean weakness. Rather, it's the courage to show up as we are, flaws and all. It's acknowledging that we don't have all the answers. Hence the reason we have a great team around us. An acknowledgement that we are on a journey, just like everyone else. When leaders show vulnerability, they open the door for others to do the same. It creates a culture of feedback, trust, where people feel safe to take risks and to make mistakes. That also leads to people growing. And then there's intentional empathy. The most powerful leaders are those who step into the shoes of others, who can see the world through their eyes and who can respond with compassion. Mahatma Gandhi, Mother Teresa, Martin Luther King. Empathy is not just about understanding someone's problems. It's about feeling them with them, sharing their struggles and their joys. It's about lifting others up, not by solving their problems for them, but by being a steady presence of support as they navigate their own challenges. The signs of a great friend are very similar to the signs of a great leader. You don't need your friend to always come and clean up your mess, but a great friend will sit in the mess with you and then help you pick up the pieces wherever they land. So will a great leader. And then lastly, leading through intimacy involves presence. Not presents. We're not Santa Claus over here, but presence. In the world that constantly demands our attention, true leadership requires us to be present, not just physically, but emotionally and mentally. It requires us to be attentive to the needs and feelings of those around us, to truly listen to their voices and hear their stories. When we show up fully, we are present in each moment. We communicate to others that they matter, not just as employees or team members, but as human beings. And as human beings, we are creatives. So people feel like a person rather than a number. The influx of new and creative ideas takes the environment to the next level. Now, there's always going to be that special group of people who are like, what does this mean for me? We all know them. We all know them. What this does not mean is that there won't be turnover. There will always be turnover. It comes with the job. But your turnover will be less frequent because of the culture that you created. And when there is turnover, people feel obligated to take care of the people who showed love, support, and took care of them all of that time while they were there. They will bend over backwards to ensure that they left the place better than what they found it. Now, let me tell you something even more powerful. Leading with intimacy does not just impact the people who you're leading. It transforms you as well. Your relationships are now built on connectivity, mutual respect, and understanding. And in doing so, you have created an environment and a culture in whatever workplace that you're in that will breed success, because people will start bringing their whole selves to the table. And when people bring their whole selves to the table, you automatically get more creative ideas, and people become more dedicated to the bottom line goal, the shared goal, if you will. And your leadership is no longer measured just on bottom line numbers. It's measured on impact. Impact on the brand, yes, but also impact on the people who make it. See, being a true leader is not about authority or control. It's about communication and connection. There's always strength in numbers, but an island is always alone. Thank you.